Have a look at the muscles in that arm. In particular, the forearm muscle. That is the topic of the day. This pugnacious character, over and over and over, requested to see the Battle of the Forearms, which consists of Lee Priest, Ramon Dino, Gunnar Rosbo, Phil Heath, Roelly Winklaar, and Flex Lewis. Time and time again, he requested this one. I was trying to avoid it. Difficult to set up, don't you know? But you guys voted for it. I threw it in the poll. You guys wanted to see it, so how are we going to do this one? You can't really do a big comparison. We'll do somewhat of a comparison at the end, because I know some of you are tuning in to see somewhat of a matchup. But realistically, the best way to do this is to individually showcase these guys for their abilities in the forearm region. Much like Lee Priest often says, who cares about striated glutes? I mean, the girls don't come up and say, let me see your bum. They want to see the arms. And when it comes to the forearm development, Lee Priest may be the best in the history of mankind, let alone bodybuilding. I mean, look at that. The victory pose, if you see a bodybuilder hitting this shot, you can bet, I guarantee you, he has good forearms. Well, no, he can't really guarantee. Some people snap the pose. They have little twigs, which look like they would snap, compared to Lee Priest's. Lee, perfectly symmetrical, I think. And this will be the pose that we're going to do, like I said, a little comparison at the end to see who has the best forearms. This will be the pose, just a front double. It's exposing of the symmetry. And yes, symmetry always counts here at Triple M, Mark's Max Muscle. So that's Lee Priest. We'll take a look at him at the end, like I said, in the comparison. Next on the chopping block, this is an interesting list by this character, Ramon Dino, a classic physique division competitor. Unbelievable showcase. Unbelievable. But when it comes to a comparison, is he going to have the size to compete against an open class competitor? It looks like he has some pretty darn big forearms. Even in a relaxed position. I mean, it would be awesome to look like this. Just walk around with just even a t-shirt on. Have a look at my 24-inch forearms. Not even flexing. And of course, when he does flex, Ramon Dino has some of the best forearms in the IFBB today, I would suggest. And like I said, we will see him again in just a couple of minutes. Who is next on this chopping block, so to speak? This is Gunnar Rosbo. And this looks like something out of a what do you call them? A funny book? A comic. A funny book. A comic book. Looks like a comic book supervillain with this forearm. And wouldn't you know it, Gunnar Rosbo, who competed in the 80s, he can hit a victory pose. Look at him in this pose. Fantastic. Actually, few and far between are poses of Gunnar where he showcases the inside of his forearm. It's usually the outer heads. Should have looked up those names to sound professional, but I don't like to. I like to go off my own. My own knowledge that I have. Makes it funnier sometimes when I try to pretend I know what I'm talking about. But yes, this is the best bet for Gunnar Rosbo. That outside muscle of that forearm, but that's not going to help him in the comparison, I guess. So it's a little bit unfair for poor Gunnar Rosbo. Who's next, guys? Who is this? Anybody know who this is? This is the Doctor. Phil the Gift Heath, perhaps the greatest bodybuilder, the best anyway, bodybuilder of all time, but known for those forearms. Unreal are the size. Could you imagine throwing a measuring tape around this guy's arm? I would almost guarantee it is bigger than my leg. Unbelievable. And that's the inside of the forearms there. And the outside of Phil's forearm, maybe even more impressive. Again, like I should have looked it up. It would have sounded more professional. If I want to sound professional, I would say the outer head. the inner head of the muscle. Just makes it sound better. But wow, dare I say wow, have you ever once seen mounds, and I mean mounds, of muscle in one human being's forearm? I don't think I have. Oh, maybe I have. Maybe I have. Probably spoke just a little bit too soon. This is Roelly the Beast Winklaar, and his forearms absolutely rival that of Phil the Doctor Heath's, or Phil the Gift Heath's. I like this shot here. It's supposed to be a front lat spread. I notice the forearm muscles more than anything else. That's incredible. That's incredible. Roelly the Beast Winklaar. He's known for that too. It's a rear lat spread. And it's a good rear lat spread. But I can't help but notice those luxuriously big forearms. Just wow. A Mark's Max muscle. Here it comes. Wow. So yes, Roelly the Beast Winklaar. In the comparison, if he doesn't win, and it goes with any of these guys, they're all known for one of the best ever in the history of bodybuilding in that forearm department. Now, last but maybe not least is Flex Lewis. Definitely worth mentioning in a best of forearm video. I don't know if I would have featured him alongside the other greats. Maybe, maybe not. He is definitely, like I said, worth to mention though. Those are some crazy big forearms. Former 212 division, multiple time Olympia champion, if you're unfamiliar with the name Flex Lewis. Quite possible, quite possible. Love this shot. Earlier on in his career, I believe Flex Lewis here, but look at that forearm. It hangs off the bone, the meat. There is a lot of meat there. That is some stew beef for sure. So Flex Lewis, he earns the right to be in this best of forearm video. But unfortunately for him, he is not winning. He is in this grouping. Like usual, I broke it up into a couple of different callouts. Pretty hard to stick 6 pictures onto the screen. Makes them so small. You guys can't see them. But trust me, Flex Lewis, he does not beat the other 3 guys at all. He has his hands full with Ramon Dino, I'm here to tell you. And Gunnar Rosbo, like I said, few and far between are the pictures of him hitting a front double. But let's face it, back in the 80s, I mean, yes, forearms are less affected from all of the gear, I think, than any of the other muscles, calves and forearms, things of that nature. But still, I would wager to say Ramon, he might beat Gunnar Rosbo in the forearm. And I think Flex Lewis, he might be taking Ramon Dino in that aspect. But that is very debatable indeed. I'll just say that these guys are some of the best, but they're not the best. These 3 specimens, these 3 physical specimens are the best out of this group. But leave some room at the end, because I will be letting you guys know somebody that's not in this list who I think had the best forearms. Period. In my opinion, that is. Now, Lee Priest, Phil Heath, Roelly Winklaar. I'm shocked. I'm sure you guys are too. And I am betting that a lot of you guys, fellers and fellasses, everybody in between, are going to vote the same way I do on this one. Roelly's are massive, maybe even the biggest around. His right forearm. His left one, not quite so much. A little unsymmetrical. Very vascular, though. Phil Heath's maybe a little more symmetrical. 2012, Phil Heath here, his forearms were at their peak. Just unbelievable, huge size, things of that nature. But we're also going by how the forearms accentuates the physique, how it goes with the physique, how monstrous it is. I'm sure there's some big giants that have forearms bigger than these guys, but not compared with the rest of their physique. I think there is only one answer here. I think there's only one possible winner, and it is the blunder from down under. Lee Priest, his forearms are cannonballs. Look at those. They make Phil's and Roelly's look second and third place. That's funny. Trust me on that one. So Lee Priest, the best forearms out of this list. But like I said, I have one character that I believe would beat all of these guys. Anybody. But before I let the cat out of the bag, I will give a few honorable mentions. Like Larry Scott. A video of this nature would not be complete without mentioning Larry Scott. Great forearms. Here's Casey Viator, worth to mention, and also one of the very first ever bodybuilders that Mark's Max Muscle ever heard of. I've been reading about this guy since I was 0. Beat that. Dorian Yates also would have got a mention in the comment section below if I didn't toss him in here. He looked very good at them 3 weeks out, or were they 6 weeks out photos? But on stage or photo shoots here, he also looked very good. So Dorian Yates, quite possibly the best ever. What about Nick Walker? Is he worth to mention? A current day competitor. There's a lot of them. Nick Walker's maybe the best. Maybe the best. Out of some of the newer guys, Good Vito, also very good. Now, who, in my opinion, has the best forearms in the history of mankind? Popeye the Sailor. And the fact is, he didn't even compete. He was just a sailor from grabbing those big boxes off the ships. Big old forearms. So Popeye the Sailor, man. I'm just joking. The winner is this guy, Sergio Oliva. Or if you're only familiar with his son, which is possible nowadays, this is Sergio Oliva Sr. And the forearms that he had may be the biggest out of any Olympia champion in the history. And I'll go on record on this. It's the most similar in size between his forearm and his waistline of any Olympia champion. I can guarantee you that. Any Olympia champion with a forearm that measures this guy's size definitely would have had a bigger waistline. But having said that, Lee Priest, the blunder from down under, and Sergio Oliva, slap them down on the comparison block, and maybe even Lee Priest would probably win. But having said that, for his time, Sergio Oliva, he's my pick. He's number 1. Don't forget Lee Priest, mine. His hands look like 2 great big snakes. Big snakes coming up. Was swallowing something. And that's the forearm muscle. Thank you for the great idea. Was running away from this one, scared, because I did not know how to set it up. You can't really do a comparison with forearms, guys. But this is my stab at it. Let me know in the comment section below how I did. And just a reminder, thank you guys very much for getting me to that 50,000 subscriber mark. If you missed the live, I opened up that box and there was a trophy inside. Wow. Prize possession that I will keep forever. Well, at least until I croak. I guess croaking's your final prize. You do all the work, sweat, sacrifice, scrimp and save. You live a little bit longer, and then, ultimately, you die. Funny, isn't it? So go have fun while you can. Have a nice one, guys.